in the hotel room, we had Jamie propped up in the bed, and we had her all tucked in with pillows, and we slept in the other bed. And we lay there real quietly and we're saying, "Oh my God, I wonder if she's asleep." And we both look up, and we think you're sound asleep, and you're sitting up looking at us like.
Well, she wasn't sitting up.
No, why are you sitting up? I thought
was-
she was sitting up. No, she wasn't sitting up. I don't know, but she was looking at us like she was wide awake.
She was
Of
only
course,
5
all
or
that
so.
sugar she probably had, but I thought she was sitting up. I guess I'm wrong, but she was. Well, you looked over and you said she's looking at us. She was wide awake.
Hi, Jane. I was an only child till I was 9, and then I went to live with relatives in Philadelphia, and I was born in New York, and they had 7 kids, and they lived in a big house, and it was a complete change for me being an only child and just having it be me and my father, because my mother had passed away when I was a baby, and so I was used to having his undivided attention, and then going into a house where there were 6 kids. It was nice. It was a beautiful house, and everybody was really great. But I just missed, my father. So one of my sisters did have a baby and gave that baby up for adoption, and my sister had a lot of emotional problems, and she wouldn't have been able to take care of her baby, and she felt it was the right thing to do, and then that baby had the most wonderful life. And it was kind of ironic because the couple that adopted her baby were from South America, and then I go to South America and bring you home. And I just think, even as a kid, I thought this was something that I wanted to do, even if I had children, biological children. So it was something that I always thought about doing, but it wasn't that easy. Like Dad and I applied to so many agencies, and nothing ever worked out. Like, it just always seemed to fall apart, and until we went to the agency for South America. I was excited, but I was nervous because the other times things fell through. So I thought, oh, I hope this is going to work. But even though I was nervous, we got your room ready and painted it and got the furniture and clothes and got everything that you were going to need, and just felt positive about it. They said first that they had assigned us to a baby boy, and so we painted the room blue. We didn't care if we adopted a boy or a girl, and even though I did want a girl, but I said I didn't care. And so we painted the whole room blue, and then everything fell through. Then they said that they were assigning us to a baby girl, and so we just put a pink border on top of the blue walls and pink carpeting and curtains and all of that. It was scary because we were really being watched by the police, and because they didn't want any more Americans coming into Chile adopting babies, because the Americans had gotten bad press with, at that time there was Joel Steinberg, and he had adopted a little girl, and he killed her. It was, just so awful, and so, they heard about it in Chile, and they thought all Americans, were bad, and they said they were stopping all adoptions right when it was our turn to go and get you. We found another judge that would okay it in the south of Chile, so when we got to Chile, we had to get on a train and then travel about 11 more hours to get to the south to get everything approved, and we were just so nervous. But the thing, too, was most of the other people that went, they just went to Chile and they were placed with the baby and they did all the paperwork and everything. But in our case, I got to meet your birth mother, and so that was hard. Let me start crying. Oh, I'm bad to do this. But I just thought it was going to be so hard meeting her, and then we didn't speak the same language, so it wasn't like we could even communicate. But then once I met her and we spent the day together, we were both comfortable with each other. It was a real good experience because none of the other people got to do that. They just, they adopted their baby and they brought the baby home, and then they didn't really know anything about the family. And then before we left again, your birth mother came to the airport with us, and that was hard. And I just took her name and address, and we just connected. We just had this bond. I told her when I got home I would write her a note and send her some pictures, and so I always had the feeling that when you got older you might want to go there, and so I thought this would make it easy for you. You wouldn't have to try and find somebody, you could know right away who she was and where she was, and and I think you're entitled to know your roots. When we were on the train going south, you saw these little houses that were the size of our garage, say, and you'd see the mother and father and maybe 5 kids running around, and they weren't really dressed, and you knew that they didn't have hardly anything, but yet they make it so hard to adopt. And I wasn't young, I was 44 years old, so a lot of people probably thought I was crazy to attempt this at that age. But you kept me young. You kept me going all the time because you were nonstop. You were just high energy, and so I think that that kept me going for the past 21 years too. A baby doesn't have to be from you or your blood or anything. Once you hold that baby's yours, and you'll do anything to protect it and love it, and it was the best thing I ever did. Yeah, I was so afraid when the social worker came to the house that if we had too many pets, maybe they would think we were strange or something, and the one bad thing that happened, you had something, I think, on your nose right before the social worker was coming to the house after we had brought you back home, and she was coming to see if everything was all right, and you were sitting in your little seat, and I think there was something on your nose, and I got like a Q-tip, and I went to move it, and your nose started to bleed, and she was walking up the walk, and I was like, oh my God, what'll she think? But she was really nice, and she knew that
you weren't punching me in the nose.
Yeah, but
I remember feeding her that day, and there's a picture of it.
They mixed your bottle with Coke and I don't know how many teaspoons of sugar. That's probably why you were like bouncing off the bed.
That's why I water. See, she was sitting up like that.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah,
we were laying, and she was sitting. Yeah, we were in the other bed, and we look at you. I'm looking at us like, great.